so that if we had time, we would look at what does that really mean, because in those days, words had a precise meaning, and these gentlemen that were the 56 signers of that declaration were well educated, and they researched what should a foundation of a nation consist of. And remember, they weren't just interpreting law, they were creating a foundation, and there is a great distinction between creating a foundation and what these judges are going to do tomorrow. And so nature's law had precise meaning, and the meaning was that it was predicated upon Scripture, and the rule of law contained in Scripture. As a matter of fact, at that time there were only 2 colonies that had a constitution, and I forget as I say that. Well, it was in 1639. It was Connecticut, under the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, written by a pastor. The first written constitution in modern times, and those orders were predicated on the principles recorded by Moses in the first chapter of Deuteronomy, and this constitution operated so successfully that Rhode Island adopted it.
That's right. I knew Rhode Island was, I would have won that part of the quiz. Yeah. I would have at least gotten 50%. I didn't know which the other one was, but I knew Rhode Island was one of those.
So that when the Declaration was adopted, the colonists were sent back to adopt the Constitution to be the government. But only 2 colonies had that, and so most of the other colonies then just followed suit and used that as a model for the adoption of a constitution. So if you read the Constitution of those days, they're pretty adamant about who God is and what a man's responsibility.
And all of that informed the Constitution that would eventually come about. But let's bring this home. I'm so sorry. It's so frustrating, Bernie, because you and I can go on for hours, and I wish we had that much time on this little video clip. We don't. Can we bring it home now? How will all that factor into tomorrow's argument on the Mojave Desert Cross case? Because you came at your brief a little differently than some of the other legal groups, even the Christian legal groups, right, that use strictly legal arguments. You came at it at a much more, dare I say, profound philosophical argument. And tomorrow, this is going to be in the back of the minds of the justices as they contemplate their decision, because they've seen this brief.
Because my position is that the district court should have dismissed this case out of hand.
Why?
Because it doesn't state a cause of action.
Now, district court, we mean the first level of court, when this was heard as a trial in a court with witnesses, etc.
Yeah, at the district court level. Then it went up, and the district court says you got to get it out of there. It went up on appeal to the Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit says because it violates the separation of church and state. Now, listen carefully what I'm going to say. If the First Amendment is used to declare that any mention of God in government, etc., is unconstitutional because it violates the First Amendment, what it is saying is the Declaration of Independence is unconstitutional. And the Declaration of Independence can't be declared unconstitutional. It's cast in cement. It can't be modified, amended, or adulterated.
So it's really an absurd argument.
Right. So that the issue is, does the Declaration and its plain language, which is establishing the foundation of this nation, it was in the Declaration that the United States was first declared the United States. And it was on that predicate that the founders pledged their life for the protection of God and the implementation of that truth in our government and our schools, that they appealed to Him and for that protection, and to that they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. They were, in a sense, betting their life that this is truth. Now, I wonder, tomorrow, listening to the arguments, how many of the judges, if I were sitting there, I'd say, judges, when you make this decision, would you pledge your lives, your fortune, and your sacred honor that you are right in ruling against the fact that the Declaration declares the rights of God in our society? Would you bet your life
Well,
on that?
and that's not just a hypothetical, because, Bernie, the Lord has put you in a unique position to ask that question of the justices. We can't go into any detail on that, just to say more than once you've had that opportunity, you'll have it again. And we're so grateful to God, first of all, to be in partnership with you and your wife, Lee, of how many years marriage?
Oh, 63.
63 years of marriage.
We got married when we were 3.
Yeah, I have no memory of 63 years ago. But 63 years of marriage, and you've been such a wonderful part of our lives. You've been far more than our constitutional attorney. You have been a friend, a supporter of this ministry. You've been a partner, a missionary team member. And we're grateful to God for this man and all that he's done, and particularly now with reference to this brief, because we know the justices at least have access to the stuff they need to make a good decision tomorrow. We'll see whether they do. We're certainly praying for that. Yeah. Bernie and I will be in the courtroom. Pray with us. We start praying tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. That's Wednesday, October the 7th. Then Bernie and I will go into the courtroom. We'll be there for the arguments. We'll come back out. We're going to make some statements that you will see at our website, and we'll be praying again, because that's really the bottom line here, is an appeal to that same supreme judge of the world. Bernie, thank you. Thanks for the education.
Okay, last comment. I think everybody listening should read the Declaration, recognize what it's saying, and then advocate often as they can that the Declaration permits the expression of God in our government, our school system, and the like, and that any effort to stop that declares the Declaration of Independence unconstitutional.
Null and void, and so we no longer have a United States of America. That's absolutely patently absurd. Hey, you know what we're going to do? This is a message to our IT guys. Put the Declaration up on our website. I want a copy of the Declaration, a transcription of it, so you can read it clearly, maybe an image. We have an image of the original, and then put the transcription so everybody can read it. Please read it. It's your homework. It's your homework assignment tonight. And then we'll tell you what we hear the justices say tomorrow. Bernie,
okay.
Thanks.
God bless.